Okay. Oh, we're just jumping
introduce
straight
you.
into
Yeah,
it.
no, because honestly, like that's just that's how you have to. That's how you have to
Hey,
do things.
okay. Okay.
How
I'm
are you
waking up.
doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm all right.
Good,
I'm all
lovely,
right.
lovely stuff.
I'm
Good
all
day so
right.
far. Good, lovely. All right. Welcome to the dish. We're going to. We have a guest. I think that's quite obvious, but I'll introduce her soon. But we need to jump to the appetizer first. The first thing on the appetizer, I had to slip this one in because I know you're an Abuja. Yeah, you're an Abuja babe. So Abuja versus
Let me
Lagos.
just will correct you. As I also I said, Abuja, who is Abuja? It's not me because I did.
Mm,
It's a thing where I moved to Abuja like 4 years ago or so. So you can't really
mm,
classify me as one because when I moved after I finished secondary school, after like my let's say year 12, I saw year 13, I moved to the
mm.
UK for A level, so I didn't really spend time. So you cannot classify. Oh my God. You know, you know. So I don't pick any side. I don't really pick any side.
You can't even pick a side.
I don't really pick a side. I'm not gonna pick a side.
To be fair, have I ever been to Abuja? I don't think I have.
I don't think most people actually have. And this is the
Yeah,
capital.
it's
The
quite sad.
is there's nothing here. Don't worry. Don't worry.
So I hear, Sha. So I hear.
Don't
So
worry.
I think by that, no, I would have to go with Lagos just because that's obviously what I know. That's what me. That's my own.
Just think of
Um,
Abuja as the opposite of Lagos. Like anything I can imagine is just
I've
opposite.
heard that half of it is like MC. So,
It is empty. It is empty.
well, so what do you do when you're there? You just chill in your house. That's it.
Exactly. Like that's the point. What do I do?
Hey, wait, and with so all your friends are in Lagos. I'm
I grew up
assuming.
in Lagos, so most of my friends are in Lagos. Most of my secondary school friends and stuff like that. People that I did end up going to secondary school with here. Like I said, it was only just 2 years that I spent here, and we not all obviously went our separate ways because of how it was literally the ending of secondary school, like my SS2, SS3. So went to the UK, went to the US. So it's not really anytime I'm doing
Wow,
anything is to go to Lagos. If I'm to my friends, people that I actually
wow,
know.
yeah.
That's my environment. That's what I'm used to. Obviously, I'm used to Abuja now, and I'm making more friends here and there. It's even a thing where, like, when I'm in the UK, when I'm with people maybe in uni, and I'm like, you still in Abuja? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in Abuja too. So that's the only way I can show people you're in this place. If not,
Right.
if not, everybody's in Lagos. Everybody's
Fair
in Lagos.
enough. Do you ever just like because obviously since there's nothing to do you ever just actually just like you know what I'm going to Lagos for the day. I'm going to Lagos for the week.
That would be nice. I mean, once upon a time, 5 tickets was 50K. Now that's not the situation.
No, that's not
It's
the
just like
case.
it's a 45 minutes flight. Not even 1 hour. Some of them 45 minutes flight. Why am I paying?
It's quite a short flight. Yeah.
I'm not going like why I'm not paying business class. Why am I paying up to 100K to
Ay,
and fro?
yeah. Man. It is
So it'd
not
be nice.
shy.
I was thinking if they did like like the train. Now that would make sense.
Right, yes, that would be helpful.
Come on, like they would actually make a lot
That
of
would be
money.
helpful.
That would be so helpful.
Right?
So helpful.
But wait, no, they built one train, Sha, but that wasn't connecting Abuja and Lagos. What was that one connecting?
I know of
Was
one
this
of
Calabar
Ibadan, and I know of the other one of
or Ibadan, something like that? I can't remember. Something like that.
yeah.
They should build one for Abuja, I beg.
At
That's
this rate.
yeah. That's what the people need. That's what the people need. All right. The second thing on the appetizer, based on the assumption that I would never have to pay for it again, I'll be sponsored by a dash company.
It's this one. Hey.
I think the last time that I used this, I think my answer was like apple juice or something like that. So I was like, it just makes sense.
But
That being said, I think it will be quite interesting to do like how much do I spend on like would I if I actually spend money would I spend on like apple juice compared to things like clothes or something like that? Because I don't buy clothes. Like I
really?
like look at me, I don't buy clothes. That mean because clothes are like, clothes are like a long term thing. You know what I mean? Like you get clothes and they last you for like 5 years before you have to
Fine.
spend again. For
Wait,
me
so come,
personally,
come, come,
shy.
come.
Wait, no,
No,
obviously we live in entirely different worlds, bro.
okay,
with this regard, in this regard, we live in entirely different worlds.
okay, okay.
So, what
I
do you
feel
think
like
yours is?
it's I don't know. I would say food always might be my go-to, but I feel like if I want something durable, something that will last. Not clothes as well, funny enough, because like you said, with clothes, I was once upon a time I was on clothes, like I was getting clothes on shopping and all of that, but it's not that deep. Like don't do all the time. I feel like with devices, on the other hand, because Apple is not that funny. So I think I don't have to pay. I will do
Fair
it
point.
because for me, I have Apple Watch, I have the headphone, I have the
That's
phone, I
true.
have the iPad,
That is true.
I have it. So the moment I bring out more things, if I know I don't have to pay again, I let them sponsor me. Just give me everything.
Fair
You know,
enough, Sha.
maybe 2 years.
That's a very similar answer to what my Koja said. Like my
Really?
brother Koja. That's a similar answer to what he said. Yeah, I think he said like he either said Apple or just like a tech company, Sha. Just sponsor
Yes,
him, and you
it's
just
just
have
a because this
everything.
the way the world is
Yeah,
going, might as well.
yeah.
Might as
That's a
well.
fair point. That's a fair point. All right, cool.
So,
Fair point. All right. Before we continue, remember to check us out on Insta at The Dish with TBO. We have lots of Insta exclusive content on there, so be sure to head over and engage with us there. Also, be sure to give us a rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or if you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Cool. And now I'm going to introduce our guest, which I mean, as you guys can see, but no, actually, introduce our guest. Today, we have with us a madam of the community, a true trailblazing, on fire for Jesus sister, who as a creator makes lifestyle content centered around living for Christ. We have with us Miss Ebi Yalah.
and the
Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast, bro. Yeah, there's lots to cover. There's lots to cover, but I think the first thing I guess is just like finding a niche. Like I said, you make lifestyle content centered around living for Christ. What was the like? Because I think one of the things with like creators, right? The very first thing, whenever you even think about doing it, whatever, is what's my niche? What's my niche? That sort of thing. Unless you're just like a nicheless creator, you're just creating, which is somewhat like me, to be fair. but yeah, how did you come up with the niche? Where did that come from?
I think it's a very interesting question because it does all ties into our walk with God, or maybe I'll say my Christianity, because I know when I started taking God a bit more seriously 2 years ago, it just literally flowed from there, where it's like, okay, I'm now making content. Like I do enjoy it. For example, I enjoy putting videos together. I enjoy taking pictures, both of myself and of other people as well. So it just became a thing where it's like, I'm living for God. I might as well sense and show people how it is to live for God, make basically a lifestyle and everything that I'm doing when I'm going out, maybe what I'm wearing, my dress, like my fashion sense, for example. So just basically everything lifestyle, how I do my day to day. And even with the YouTube, because that's where like it became a bit more like serious, where it's like, okay, I'm really doing this thing for Christ. Was when God actually told me to make YouTube channel, and I'm like, God, you're joking, right? I mean, right? Because as much as I did enjoy, like it's something I enjoy. Like I enjoy, like in fact, people would think I've been doing YouTube for a long time. I started last year, a whole year ago.
Yeah.
Literally. I even saw my YouTube literally said it to me 2 days ago about how happy anniversary for making your account today. And I'm like, oh my God, really?
Oh man,
interesting. Because I just never saw it coming. Like I really never saw it coming because of how much as I enjoyed it, I didn't really think of making it like a huge thing of being a content creator. I was just thinking, okay, I just like making videos. Cause I started off on Instagram. I was just like do like a day in my life, like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
And
you
I'll
just
put
did
it,
like day vlogs. Yeah.
yeah, and I'll put it on Instagram. But after God was like, oh, yeah, let's make it a thing. I'm like, let's make what a thing. YouTube is a thing. And with YouTube, it's now like you said, finding a niche. Because I remember that I searched for Christian content creators that would do things in a more fun way. That is not just the everyday speaking.
Right.
Like every day, like, okay, I always see I'm gonna, give the word of God to you here and there, but like, can I have a lifestyle? How are you living your life? Let me know what you're doing. What are you doing yourself? Are you traveling?
Yeah.
Like, enjoy yourself in Christ. And I remember, I think it was like a few months ago, I was watching Ezine Zara's one of her videos, like one of her old videos about how she found her own niche too. And it made me stop because I was just like, oh, it's the exact same niche I was basically doing, where she was saying that she would look on Instagram or she would look on, YouTube. And she didn't find anyone else that is kind of doing this in a way where it's like fun, where it's like you're just showing people how, as a Christian, you can actually enjoy your life as a Christian. You can literally do so many other things. Like you're not in a box, you're not thinking of, okay, I have to wear a Marimaka skirt or like I can't go anywhere. I can't, like, no, like life is for living. So, except to enjoy life, I can even give scriptures. So
Honestly, man.
it just came with it. So when I did start YouTube a year ago, that was when I was like, okay, so now I'm literally making my content. So even in my Instagram, anything I do, my TikTok, whatever it might be, it's for Christ. So it was, like I said, it's kind of like an outflow and an outpouring of my relationship with God. Anything that I'm doing there is just kind of just showing in my content. That's why people are able to relate with it. Like, oh, she goes through tough times. Like, things are relatable. She goes through tough times. This is how she overcomes this. This is how she reads her Bible, giving people tips. Things like that are very relatable than the normal just, I'm sitting down. Like, obviously, those are people that God has called them to do that. That's amazing. But it's like some people actually just want to see something else. Like, how I wanted to also see that as well. So, that's how it kind of all came into like play. So we thank God.
I think the way people that what's it called? The way people that have command of the English language, the way they describe it is there's a gap in the markets. I'll be holding the markets. And he said, you know what? I'm coming to fill that gap.
Yeah.
Going to fill the gap in the markets. No, but yeah, I feel you. No, it's actually a very similar, like, well, not very similar for me. It's somewhat different. It's very different for me in the sense that for me, so I've been creating pretty much for most of my life. I started making videos when I was 8, and all of that. And yes, I've been a Christian for 6 years. Now 6 years now. But obviously creating had kind of just been like, it was just a thing that I did, and so even though I started my channel when I was 15, I started my podcast when I was 16, but yeah, it was never really the subject of like what I was doing. Like every now and again I made a video where I felt like, I would share a message or something like that every now and again, but it wasn't very frequent. And then on podcasts as well, it was literally very rare. And there was the thing is though, there was a time in my life where I was becoming very, I don't even know how to describe it. It sounds like a very weird thing to say out loud, but I was becoming very like, I felt like I was wasting what I was doing. Basically, I was like, okay, if I'm not going to like, because in my head I was like, okay, do I need to make this like a full time question mark like Christian thing? You know what I mean? And then funny enough, I prayed about this and God actually said no. And I found that hilarious. Like I thought about it, I was like, okay, like I felt like no, just keep doing what you're doing. And it's just at the end of the day, reason that is because like as a creator, what is in you reflects in what you create, right? So whether that is whatever that is basically a reflection of you.
Yeah.
And basically, the way I understood it is, well, because I am a Christian, that will reflect,
Yeah, totally.
And there are times in the podcast as well where we talk about things. I bring up a Bible verse or something in like the dessert section of the podcast and all of that. Or in like a video, I say a verse, put something in, because it's just a reflection of you. And I think with your content as well, that's the thing. Like it's a reflection of your life, like you said, lifestyle content. Yeah. So I think is it makes sense. You know, in the long story, I just said, you know what I'm saying, trying to say is that it makes sense. Oh my days. No, but honestly, it does. It does. What's what I would say? So yeah, we've made it quite clear, you're Christian. We're Christians. I don't actually. So you said you started taking it a bit more seriously about 2 years ago.
Mm.
Okay. What was the process that led up to that? Like, why? How did that come about?
I think is how it was for everybody. It was lockdown. Lockdown. The lockdown. How it was, because obviously growing up in a Christian household and a Christian home, as most people actually are, was one of the things where I look back now and it was like that was obviously the time where people could literally hear God. Because he had obviously, it's one of the things where like he has been speaking to you, has been calling you. And like I said to people, like I will never forget it because that's when I made the word daily. It was the 28th of March, and it was so loud that I'm like, I heard you. All right, you loud. I heard you, you know. But it was one of those things where it's like God had kind of like we're now always there's no more noise anymore. Everything's quiet now, so you can literally just hear what he's saying. I know that with me, I've been in and out with my Christianity from young, obviously. I'm in a Christian household, and I did love God from a young. I love God from a young age. Just I thank God for my mom. Thank God for thanks to my mom anyway, because of how I would see her own devotion to God, and I would think, oh, this is very beautiful. This is very nice. That's why I'm even able to love God the way I am, the way I can now, because of how I've seen how it is. But obviously, for me, it was in and out. And I remember, like, it wasn't until I went to boarding school, like in year 7 or so, that the desire to wanting to do for God. Obviously, now I'm now on my own. So obviously now there's a lot of things coming to me. I'm learning about new things. So obviously now I'm now lukewarm in a sense where it's like I know God, I do go to church, but like that's too like I don't really do that. But obviously I knew that there were times where I would want to, speak more about my faith, but I felt like it's not the cool thing, just different things, the lukewarm of things. But then that 2020, like I said, was so loud, and I was just like, you know what? Let me just decide to make a change. And I remember at the beginning of the year, I think I decided to sow a seed, and I told God, okay, God, I want to try this year and maybe just spend more time with you, actually fellowship with you, actually do more for you. And the fact that I could see the fruits of that, 2020 was such a beautiful year for me because I was actually so grateful. As much as it was a tough year as well, because obviously now you're not choosing the faith now, and now as you immediately you choose it full time, the things that will come for you, no waste of time. I can remember I've talked about how it's on What Daily as well. I've talked about it even on my channel about how I struggle with loss, I struggle with different things, different simple acts. And in the time when you decide to take God more seriously, they would literally come at you at full force, like, okay, all right, because you're going against
Do you
the
guys? I said, now you're serious.
they're all right.
No, I said, now it's serious.
There you go.
Do you guys?
No, really. No, I know. Who could like ask honestly? It was as much as it was a beautiful thing to start following God. It was the year where I said, "What kind of problem? What kind of a thing is this?" Like I know that I said, "Okay, trials and tribulations coming for me, for my no joke, for my neck."
Yeah.
Obviously, thank God for that. If you thank God for everything He has done, and like, that's basically the beginning of it. And obviously, over time, what I love about the Christian journey is that how you keep on growing every single time. Where I was, now compared to where I was even beginning of the year, this year and even 2020 is obviously not the same, but it's a beautiful journey that you know that okay, God is with you at the end of the day. That's my God is with you. Like that's the thing where I mean that no one can now judge me. So it's a thing where it's literally just been growing, even with all the persecution that has come my way. It's like at the end of the day, God has my back last. Like he's there,
Yeah.
So it was just one of these things where like it was quick for me because of how I had been lukewarm and I was in and out. But then this time when I said, okay, let me just say yes to God. And I said, okay, it was so immediate, like okay, the fire it was just like boom, wildfire now, boom, just went like, all right, like the fire is now hot. Obviously, there's time where the fire could go down, but like the fire is still burning. Thank God.
Yeah.
And I can't wait on to the day Jesus Christ comes back.
Comes back. Yeah.
Praise God, but that's
God.
literally,
Amen.
thank God
Amen.
for that.
I think one of the things, right, about generally like your page, your content, which I personally really, really admire, is right I was about to say the reality, which I guess is kind of the word, but what's it? the vulnerability, that's the word, about like problems you face and stuff like that, which I think is really unique for like for like Christian content creators, stuff like that. Because like, even just like content creators generally speaking, I feel like I remember there was this time you had like an exam, and
God.
yeah, I remember that day clearly, and it was such a shock. It was such a shock. I just open my phone, open my Instagram, just watching Ebi's story. I just see Ebi crying. I'm like, bro, what's going on? Honestly, I see Ebi fully like bawling tears. I'm like, what on earth is going on today? But yeah, having watched it and all that, I understood it was about an exam and everything. I was like, all right, calm. And I remember just like actually watching what you were talking about. You were basically talking about how like this was hard, bro. This was hard, but you're trusting my God to pull you through and everything. I thought it was a really, really powerful thing. I really, really did. What was that like? First of all, what was going on? What exactly was going on?
My brother in Christ. School would stress you.
Honestly, bro.
It was one of those modules where it's like you don't know what's going on, and I have exams. So basically, you're faced with exams, and a lot of things were happening as well with people that were in my course. I remember I was asking for help, but then it felt like I was being a burden. So I was just like, God, I'm asking for help from my course mates. Like, what is this and everything? And that's in that topic even of uni and even friends and like people, your course mates. That's a different topic on its own. But I remember that day so well. I remember, Tika and I were just finished studying, and she had gone home early in the morning, like really early, because my exam was around 10. And now it was a thing of, okay, now it's just me and God, because just other cousins of mine that were meant to help me study and everything like that. They were no kind of nowhere to be found, and I'm like, okay, so I have to face this by myself. And this is a course that I've been trying my hardest to try and understand here and there. And I remember, starting the exam, and God is still faithful because of what I studied. The mock paper was actually very similar to the actual exam. But the problem is, like I was saying even in the video when I was crying about how it's not like I didn't understand it. It was just a thing if I had more time. It was literally an hour, 30 minutes for the exam. But if I had maybe if it was a 24-hour exam where it's like, okay, the whole day, or you can do it when you're done. I know for a fact that would have been fine. But then I remember so clearly that I was crying. I felt like, okay, God, it's only you that I have now in this situation. Like I couldn't understand what was like. I was like, it was exactly what was in the mock paper, but just twisted like in a different way. It still looked like like it looked like when a child is just drawing. That's what it looked like to me. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to? But then, God being so faithful, I remember the starting it here bit by bit. I felt like, time is going, like, God, time is going. But, as I'm crying, like, okay, I'm actually not going to finish because, like, have in mind, like, that thing, and I only did 2 questions. And there was 1 A, B, C, D, 2 A, B, C, D, up to 10 questions. Right. That paper was empty. That paper was basically empty. I did some questions here and there. Let's say I did 1 A, and I did 2 F, then 5 G. That's how I was doing it. But then I remember as I was doing it, I remember God saying to me about how he was proud of me. And I'm like, what are you proud of?
Do you get it?
To the human eye, it's like you're already failed. You're already, there's nothing on this paper. For God saying, you're doing your best right now. Because, no, really, truly, like, I was thinking human beings that they're probably thinking, you failed this course.
No, honestly, do you get it?
What are you doing?
Oh, man.
But I remember God telling me, and that even made me even cry more. And I remember saying it was the verse, I can't remember the verse right now, about how I can be knocked down, but I'm not knocked out. And, as much as because I always share my, my day to day, I share my school experience as well. I remember I was like sharing one time about how I got 100%. I was like, oh my God, I got 100% everything. It was also, in the moment, God was like, also share this as well about how, right now, it's a 0. It's a 0 class. Obviously, I have to actually do the exam in August. So that's even maybe vulnerable right now. So obviously, it was empty. It was empty. Yeah. But it was one of those things where God was like, just pray. And I'm like, I know that I do share my, vulnerability here and there, but God was a bit too much because I was like, how many? You saw it. I was
bro. Listeners, I can confirm. Lord have mercy.
Like,
that day was serious. Yeah, it wasn't even like it wasn't like cute kind of cry. No, it wasn't a cute kind of cry at all. As in, I said it took me by shock. It took me by shock. I said, wow. I was looking at my phone. I was like, oh my days. I was like, bro, this is serious.
Honestly, and God put
Oh
it.
man.
I remember I put it on my sorry, I put it on my Snapchat, I put it on the word date, I put it everywhere, and I was like, God, you want me to put my face as it is? Because me too, I know that to a certain level, there's certain things I will not put. But you need to put it everywhere and basically explain the process to everybody about how, okay, this is what had happened, how I prayed, how I actually knew the answer and everything, but like, I just didn't have enough time. And I remember last time I was literally clicking to the last moment, and I was just like, you know what, God, I've done my best. But in the moment, I now said, okay, let me share my experience with people to let people know that, okay, look, this exam has really taken a lot from me. But then I think, if anything, I've taken away the fact that God was with me and He reminded me that this is not what defines me. Even if I did get a zero at the end of the day, even if, I didn't do also, it reminding me that it's not by my strength. It's literally where it says, I think the 2 Corinthians 3:5, about how my sufficiency is from Him. I am
Yeah.
complete in Him. Like, at the end of the day, this should not be what should define me, because we tend to do so without even knowing it, especially when it comes to uni stuff. I remember, like, I remember when I got 100 for the, I'm like, I got 100 for the person, and I'm like, this is not normal. And it's like that same God that did that. Like, no, in university, I settled with the 40s and the 50s after a while. I'm like, okay, that's normal. That one I can't have.
That one you're familiar with. I'm familiar with this one.
So I remember sharing that, and when I shared that, that's why I know that God. That's how I knew that God was the one that always told me to do so, because a lot of people were blessed by that. Because a lot of people were like, nobody's going to be this vulnerable to say how it's actually, especially as a Christian, how you can go through the tough times as far. But what people don't say, obviously, I can come back now and say that, okay, now I've done the exam and it's okay now. But at the time, it's better to let people know in real time that, okay, look, it gets hard sometimes. And a lot of people told me that about, because that was exam season for most people, and that told me about how that even motivated them more, even inspired them more to even actually just go and read more. Remember that, okay, God is on their side. About how God literally hold them in their hand, and literally they'll be victorious by Him. So it's reminding that in things like that, as much as I was dreading this thing, God, even as I was posting, I was just like, what is, obviously, now the sales have obviously reduced, and now I'm posting, and I'm like, God, what do you want me to be doing? He said, don't edit anything, don't post. I said, God, the whole world, people that even with Christ, I'm crying. I think they think about me. But it just shows how much I to be able to actually just do that without feeling like I'm going to be persecuted and stuff like that. So honestly, it wasn't easy. I think people probably thought, okay, it was easy for me to just post that. That was one of the hardest. I think if anything, looking back, that was one of the hardest. And actually, wait, so was that this year? That was this year.
It was. I honestly can't remember when it was.
This was in May.
Was it earlier this year?
May.
Yeah. It might have been. Yeah.
And I'm sure because a lot of people were like, you are really bold though to do this on a platform. I think I didn't have YouTube at that time, because I know that God was on YouTube as well. And I won't have that. That one I probably said, God, no, it's jokes. You're joking, right? You joke.
Better. Better.
For that one, a lot of people were blessed by that, and a lot of people were strengthened by that as well. Like, to see that, okay, and that's kind of part of what my whole lifestyle is about. How you get to see every part, you get to see the good,
everything,
you get to see where it's not great at time, but it's basically like David. How David would literally go to stuff, but you come back and say, God, at least it's you that's for me. Come and help me.
Do you get, as in, if not for you,
it's not for you.
If not for you,
please.
No, I honestly feel that. Yeah, I thought it was a really, really powerful thing. I think, yeah, like you said, especially for Christian pages, stuff like that. It's we're not always what's the word, forthcoming with the actual tough bits, man. You know what I mean? I feel like it's not it's not
you're in your back.
You get oh man, it doesn't come naturally to us, but I think there's such a power in that, in letting people see the actual reality of life, because it happens to all of us. I don't understand, it happens to all of us.
Everybody.
Honestly, it happens to all of us. So if we can't even be honest with ourselves and just be like, yeah, this is what's going on, then I don't really get it. But it's all good, Sha. I mean, I think like you said, a lot of people would have been inspired by that. A lot of people would, and it's the thing of the next time when God asks someone else to do it, it's like they would be like, okay, yeah, I know it's doable, Sha.
It's doable. You get. Do you
Yeah,
get?
yeah. It's like I can do it. It's not it's not the end of the world kind of vibe. Sure, you get.
You still survive. You wake up tomorrow.
Do you get? As in, the story is only up for 24 hours, bro. Story is only up for 24 hours. After that, life goes on. You'll be fine. Oh, that is. No, but honestly, I really rated that. I remember just seeing that, and I was like, "This is." And you could tell it wasn't an easy thing to post, because I feel like the thing about like being a content creator, and this is something that I myself, is funny because I myself, I am only just embracing like this part of myself and this part of like the stuff I create, which is the fact that I am a very disorganized person. Naturally, I am a very I lack order. I lack order. It's a weird thing because like even just like the way I live my life, right? It's like since I was a child, my parents have always been on me. They've always been like, Tenny, you have to have a plan. Yeah, Tenny, you have to have a plan and all of that. Which is a fair that's good life coaching. Sure, you get it's good, generally good to have a plan. But like I've always just been so like, okay, like fine, whatever. And even now, when I make my plans, because I know that about myself, about the fact that I am just generally a very disorderly guy, I have to give myself leeway. So I'll make a plan. I'll put things that I want to do, all of that. But if I can't like lock it down, I'll be like, oh, this hour, I will be here. I'll be like, no, I'm not that kind of person. It's like, I generally hate the feeling of being constricted, right? And anything that resembles that, anything that makes me feel like that, it just immediately switches me off. Like it switches me off mentally. I'm just like, I don't even want to do this anymore. So for me to function, I have to kind of embrace the chaotic side of myself and actually live with that. And I am only just now, in what I create in my podcasts and everything, in even YouTube, all of that, I'm only just now embracing that and really being like, okay, you know what, I'm going to allow this to actually shine through my content. So now on the dish we have appetizers, main course, desserts, but now in a lot of recent episodes we end up doing like appetizer, desserts, then main course. We end up doing like, sometimes we even start with the desserts, like not deliberately, but just because there's no order to it. And I'm just like, you know what, fair enough, and even like content and everything. The point I'm trying to make, I feel like content creating, generally speaking, it's so easy to fall into a system of like curation where you have to curate things and you have to make it. It's just the way things are these days, right? You have to make everything pretty and you have to make everything very like refined and all of that.
As a parent, I was just like, good. Because obviously, if you obviously see my page, it's just my Instagram, you see how it's all so color coded, it's given as
I don't say, Ebi, you feel that,
And obviously, that's why his page is obviously amazing. First of all, he knows I want it obviously to look artistically pleasing. So he'll give me ideas of how, okay, post this one, and I post it, and I'm just like, oh my god, that actually works with this one. So it's a thing of like, I'm now realizing that I just have to actually just literally just go with the flow. Because if I'm too rigid, I want to enjoy it as well. Because it's content,
you
like I'm
making
it. So I'm like, oh my god, I can't post this one here. That's why I remember. That's that thing where it's like, okay, well, I can't post this one to like I have to post it like 2 weeks, and like, who said so?
Exactly.
Order.
Who said? Yeah. Oh man, that thing of who said is a very good question, though. Honestly, very good question.
Who said it? Yeah. Who said it? So one thing I'm especially even now, because whenever it comes like planning my content, it's just like Ebi, nobody's holding your neck. You can post 5 times a day if you want. 5 times. It's okay. And I feel like even what I'm even doing right now is just not even caring about the whole. I think that it's amazing that amazing if the Instagram algorithm could help and everything. I'm just posting as I want, when I want, how I want. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if you, as long as these things are important and obviously I'll still use the hashtag, I'll still use what I can use. I still want to have fun in being able to put out what just came out of my mind.
Yeah.
Even if, and I realize that one that I realize is, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Instagram, whatever it's TikTok, even if it's just 2 views, some people saw it and people like them, so it maybe inspires someone to go and do something.
Absolutely.
I feel like we always think we need the 1,000 views or the 10,000 views, but that one view actually can count it all. It even just shows how even the same way if heaven can actually be just for one person being saved, heaven, the whole of heaven will make it have like the
Yes,
party.
exactly. We'll
The whole,
celebrate. Yeah.
how much more
Yeah.
me if I just let 2 people or 3 people see and I'm enjoying what I'm doing, them too, they're enjoying it. Well, fine. When I bubble,
Yeah.
I post, they
Yeah.
enjoy it, they watch. It's like, yeah,
Yeah. It's a win-win. Everybody's having fun. Everybody is having fun. No,
literally.
honestly, I concur, man. I concur. I think that it's so like because so this is the thing. I'm not a so it's a weird in the sense of a Christian content creator. That's not who I am. But I'm a content creator that is Christian. You get what I mean? I am in this space because I've been told to be. Sure, you get like I am like every day I live this out because I know that he has something for me here. I'm just like, okay, cool. Like I'm running with that. Sure, you get. And I think it's so easy to kind of like as I get caught up in all the fluff of it. You get what I mean? Like you said, the views, the whatever, this, that. There's so many things that can
So
distract
many,
you from
so
the
many.
actual
Wow, this is
purity of
content.
what you are doing.
Like this,
You know?
like this. I'm like, no, it's a
Yeah.
mind. I enjoy it.
Honestly.
Peace of mind. Live in the moment.
Yeah.
Sometimes just eat your food. Don't take picture of it. Eat it. You're hungry.
Yeah.
You are
Oh,
hungry.
bro.
Eat it.
You get just eat, bro. Oh man, just live. Actually, just live. You know.
Oh, boy.
And man,
Yeah.
this is what I God help us. But honestly, it's so like it's so easy. It's so easy to just be there to just like whatever, you know, get caught up in all that. But I feel like remembering who you are, remembering what you're trying to do, you know,
You're doing,
just
having
and
fun
yeah,
with it. Please.
exactly. Remember what you're trying to do. Remember what you're doing it for, you know. At
Like, yes,
the end
your
of the
why.
day, yeah.
Like I like to say, your why.
Absolutely. Remember who you're doing it for. Remember your why. All of that. I just there was a time I made a video where at the end I really had to like I had to actually just like talk to people watching. I was like, yo, like for a long time this whole thing has been such a revenge mission and I can't continue to live like this. You know, I just feel like, you know, for people who don't fit the picture, don't fit the image of what, you know, a creator is meant to be or anything like that. It can be hard, man. It can be difficult because, like, especially when you're starting, because people are like, "What on earth are you doing?" That kind of vibe. Like, you
Literally.
just go and read your law. Just like, what's wrong with you? That kind of vibe. Literally, just go and read your law. Just go and continue posting about Jesus on your story. Like, cool. That's you, not like laughing on YouTube or whatever. You know. And you take those things personally, whether you're like saying this or not, you take those things personally. And so I literally just had to, at the end of my video, I was like, yo, like, I'm not even going to lie. In the time that I was away, I really had to like reevaluate why exactly I'm doing this. And yeah, I try and let go of that and just like, you know, move like move freely again, like post freely again, and like just enjoy my life, man. Like I do this because I love doing it, not because I'm trying to prove a point to
Literally, like
anyone,
I just
you know?
enjoy. I just
Yeah.
enjoy doing it, and like I feel like what getting enjoy is like the fact that I can literally think about it in my mind. I can literally now create it. Like maybe I had the idea, and I can now see it literally be created. Like I literally put it together, and I see
Absolutely.
how it will become a big picture, like something I've actually created. And I'm like, wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Like it was once here, and how I had the idea, but now it's a full
Bro.
thing, and I've done it, and
Yeah.
I've enjoyed the process and stuff like
Absolutely.
that.
I was literally talking to someone about that recently. I think it was even in another recording I did a couple of days ago where I was talking about it is a beautiful thing to get to wake up every single day and consistently try and turn a vision into reality. It is such a
Literally.
beautiful thing. Whenever I like have created something, whatever it is, podcast episode, video, whatever, just knowing the amount of because I try to okay, so this is the thing, this is the disconnect with what people may or may not understand about me, right? Is that while I am naturally a very like disorderly person, and over the years I've tried to kind of get a hold of that, so to speak. I'm also a very cerebral person, and so I'm very intentional with what I try to create. I'm very like generally stuff like that. And so even in preparing for a podcast episode, I always think, okay, what's the vibe that I'm going for? Who would I need to help create this vibe or whatever? With a video, same thing, like that kind of thing. And so just getting to turn that into reality is such a beautiful thing. I enjoy it every single time. It doesn't disappoint. It doesn't disappoint at all. I think it's a beautiful thing. And so I promise I had a question in this. I can't remember what it was. I promise I had a question. I was thinking I was going somewhere, but now it's like
is it still under content creation? Was it still under content creation?
Yeah, so it has something to do. Wonderful. Yes, I've remembered. We were meant to. So yeah, this was kind of meant to be a segue into the dessert. Wonderful. This has to be a segue to the dessert. And so basically, for listeners who are new, who are not aware what the dessert is basically the last section of the podcast episode where we usually just come up with like a little phrase or a little word and we just talk about it, right? And so the words I've chosen for this particular dessert is identity and anchors. I love this. Anyway, so yeah, it's identity and anchors. And yeah, what is going to talk about? Identity, obviously, who you are. Anchors, obviously, what anchors who you are, so to speak. I'd say for both of us, that's our faith. We obviously understand that for some people listening, that may not necessarily be the case. But yeah, what keeps you? I know obviously the faith, but I guess different people not necessarily understand their faith in different ways. That's not the word I'm thinking. I guess different people have their different I was going to say conceptualizations, but that sounds like we're doing cults. No, it's like, no, honestly, no, it's like, when you think about something and I've just remembered what will help me communicate what I'm trying to say. Do you know that old fable of where blind people are touching an elephant? And so they're like, describe the elephant. And one person is like, it's like a rope because they're holding the trunk. And another person is, it's like a tree because they're holding the leg, that kind of vibe. I often kind of think about the faith to some people is kind of like that in the sense that to someone they're like, I love the faith so much because this is what it means to me and this is how it anchors me. And to someone else it's like, okay, it's like, yes, that's beautiful. To me, what really gets me is this, blah blah blah. So yeah, essentially what I'm trying to ask is what's that for you?
In terms of both identity and anchors, right?
Yeah.
That's a very nice question. I think one thing I've realized is when you go through life, I think something I said a long time ago about how, because when you just look at the Bible, right, you see that even as human beings or as people, we like to, it's how when someone says, okay, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, like they like to, then like you're identifying yourself according to maybe your occupation, like this is who you feel like you are. But then it's a thing where like things change. Like today I could be a student, tomorrow I'm not going to be a student anymore. I'll probably be a graduate.
Facts.
Is that who I now identify myself as, and is that how I'm anchored as well? So something she said a time ago, she was like, it wasn't until Peter knew who Jesus was and that Jesus was able to tell him who he was. When Peter was able to say, you're the Messiah, you're the Christ, this is who you are. That Jesus now told okay, this is who you are.
Yeah.
So I realized that by knowing or by my relationship with God, I'm able to know who he has called me to be. To be one that, yes, I'm able to create content. Like he has literally called me to do, literally when he says masterpiece, he meant like there's only one of you. I realized that there's only going to be one of me. Even if I bring in the science that I do study about how, like with fingerprints, in the whole world, there's no people that have died, people that are going to come. There'll be no one that will have the same fingerprints as you, even people that are twins. And it just shows you how unique one is. And I feel like by realizing that, knowing that as much as I'm God's masterpiece, I'm literally uniquely made, quite literally. And science has backed that up as well. That people that have died and people that like, as much as people would look the same and like, have similarities, there's still something that's going to be different about me. We might like we all have the same faith, but I love how God wants to express the faith in different ways as well. So with
Yeah,
identity, it's the same thing as well.
absolutely.
It's the same thing, literally, and that's why you have to be able to actually appreciate who God has made you as you are. Which is why I actually love like how you said about what you're doing as well. Like you're just doing it in the like you're expressing it through as it is. Like literally, you're not making it with the ways like we all have to look this like we're all like look at it like we're all wearing this. Let's say we're all wearing white and we're all doing it exactly as it's supposed to be. That's just too rigid. That doesn't even show the beauty of
Absolutely.
God. That doesn't even show how God actually wants everything to be literally wonderfully and fearfully and beautifully made. Because in that you're able to see Him in everything. You get to like literally express Himself to us in different and beautiful ways. So I feel like the identity. I'm happy that I'm able to know who I am and who God has called me to be. And it's very different. As much as it can be this, as much as there's probably another content creator that is probably doing the exact same thing I'm doing, mine is still going to be definitely different. And it's mainly
Yeah.
that my identity is what allows me to go on every single day. And obviously, my anchor will always be my faith, that knowing that, okay, I'm able just by knowing who He is and knowing what He did for me, I'm able to also live out a life knowing that, okay, things would come my way, things different, literally different things will happen. But it's remembering this one thing of I can't lose who I know I am. I can't lose who God has said I am, because if I do that, then it should be based on lies. It should be a thing where it's like I said, we think that change where yesterday I was a student, tomorrow I might be a graduate, and if that's what was my identity, it would change every single time. It would
Yeah.
change every single time, and I'll never really be stable. But I know that okay, this one thing that God said, okay, God has said, okay, you are this and you are that. I can say, okay, this is a foundation I know I'm sure of, and like it doesn't really change. It's like okay, at the end of the day, this is who I am. At the end of the day, this is who I am. Things will change and life will go on, but this is who I am, type of thing. And I just
True.
give God all the glory that I'm able to actually find that in Him, because it's one of the things where it's like there's manufacturing as a product. You go to manufacturers and find out who you are. Like literally, you're the
Yeah, to
product.
find out what the product is. Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
let Him tell you how He designed you and how like
Yeah.
you're gonna. One thing I love so much is how the course that I'm doing right now is not what I wanted to study. I think I've told you this before. It's not what I planned
Yeah,
to
we
study.
talked about this. Yeah.
Study. I did not mean. It's even a joint course. Why? Who? What? And it just shows how it's like, okay, God, you say you had a plan for me, but I'm not sure about this plan. It might be a wrong plan, because if it was me, I'd have probably picked something creative, quite literally, anything like maybe photography, film, something like that. Along what I like to probably help what I'm doing. Like I don't know, for example, I don't really know what I'm going to do in the future and everything like that. But God was going to choose neuroscience and psychology. He said, and hey God,
I do
and
guess. I think it didn't stop there. It didn't stop there. Say and have you seen this meme where I can't remember what was going on in the meme, but someone says and someone say and you're still going.
no, and business.
You're still going.
And
Okay.
I realized that
Oh man.
that was not my plan. God still catered in the sense where like he allowed me to start YouTube. In fact, like I remember with YouTube, I wasn't sure that if it was me I wanted to do it, or if it was him, if it was like really God telling me to do it. It wasn't until he actually provided the camera. 700
Mm.
I was saying let me save small, let me try to do what I can. Because like I'll buy the camera. I need to start YouTube now. I'm like, God, this is really you, buy that camera. Okay. He bought the camera. I said, oh,
Yeah.
I know you're really being serious, so but
Mm.
it was not my plan to study what I'm studying, but obviously God is still going to use it for His glory. But even with that, He's
Absolutely.
allow me to express myself through my content, through my YouTube. Like He still
Yeah.
caters for me. It's like I can still do what I love on the side, and He says, "Well, I still have the choice to do what I want to do." I'm not studying it in full. It's like okay, I get to actually do this in full. Like okay, I'm doing film, or I'm doing photography, and I'm literally learning at university. It's like God is still he's still faithful to show that like his plan for me from when he made me my identity of like okay this is what I made you to be. Show that he catered for everything that I would want, every desire that I would want, whatever is YouTube,
Yeah.
whatever it might be, and he will provide for it at every point. So I think I'm now learning that the path quite literally has already been prepared for me
Yeah.
even before I was born. It's literally just to walk in it and just find out okay this is who God said I am. He's the one that's holding me because he doesn't change because literally it's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And by just knowing that at
Absolutely.
every step I get to, I'll figure out, okay, this is what he has for me and this is what's in store. and I get to enjoy it. And that's something I'm learning right now anyway. That I get to enjoy that
Yeah,
everything there. That no matter what I be in my path, I've already obviously overcome, or already is it something that God already prepared me for? Whatever
yeah,
trial might be, it's like yeah, you're set already. Got your work, your stuff, your equipment. Just and just win. Fight to fight. You shall win.
yeah,
Everything. So you
yeah.
can for
Nah,
that honestly.
that was
So
beautifully said, honestly. Beautifully, beautifully said. I agree. I think God is just, I often tell whenever I feel there's an opportunity to tell someone about my faith, I always open with the fact that I would have to not care about you to not tell you what me I've tried and tested and found to be true for myself. Like I would have to. It's like I always tell people, think about the most valuable thing in your life, right? And then multiply that by a couple thousand. And that's what my faith is to me, right? And the only reason it is worth that much to me is because the part, like, since I became a Christian 6 years ago, like the path between that in those 6 years, the things that have happened, the things that, like, as in I've seen for myself, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just you don't get this convicted without
experiencing, yeah.
experiencing things. So yeah, I just just to echo what you said, I just think his faithfulness is just always there. He just never learn, even in and even in something like you said, creating content or whatever, like there are lots of content creators out there. There are lots of law students out there. You know what I mean? Like,
There are plenty. It's below.
honestly, do you get
Plenty.
a lot, man? But just because his faithfulness to just be with you regardless, and regardless of your faults and all of that, and to just make a way for you and for you to continue going and do that. I think it's a very beautiful thing. I think we'll end the episode there. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so
Really,
much for
really
having
appreciate it.
me. Oh my god,
No
I'm excited.
worries, no worries. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for listening to The Dish. See you next time.